Hey there, it's Nathalie. Thank you for coming back to my channel, or coming if this is your first time here. Welcome. Took a little break for the holidays, but anyway, over the holidays, I bought this camo thermal men's pullover shirt, and I wanted to make a little jacket, vest, whatever you, not a vest because it's got sleeves on it. And so I dug into it, I cut it down the middle and cut the neck binding off of it, and I dug through my stash of lace, which I have a huge stash of lace. Anyway, and from my embellished blue jean project, I used some of this fabric that was from a set of old curtains a friend of mine had, and some calendar towel and some little ball fringe. And anyway, so stay with me and let me show you how to do this. This is an easy beginner project. The jacket, this little top, was only about $8 at Walmart, and they might still have more. They might even have them on clearance, but I think I'm going to go back, and I usually wear like a 12, 14, and this is a men's size medium. I think I'm going to go back and get me a large, so I have just a little bit more room in there. So hey, don't go away. To get started with this project, I have this is a man's camouflage, kind of thermal, kind of see the texture in that. I thought this would work out really good, so I've got a man's thermal shirt from Walmart. I have some lace from my stash of lace, of which I have a bunch. I have some fringe. I'm not for sure if I'm going to use that fringe or not. And then I got this pair of shorts, which I would probably never ever wear, little lacy shorts. Got this from our thrift store. And so I've already measured, and I know that this bottom row is long enough to go around. And so I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to use this lace. I think I am going to use this one. I think I like that one the best. There's like 4 different designs. This is a repeat of that. And so I may, well, and these are also repeats. So I'm going to disassemble this. I'm going to cut this apart along the seam line. Take this elastic off the top and cut this off at the seam line and open this out, and I'll be back. Okay, I've cut this apart down through the crotch and then down the front seam and the back seam. And this lace is just stitched on with a single stitch. And I'm going to use my seam ripper, and because I don't want to cut the lace, and so I'm going to use that seam ripper and take these stitches out, and so that I can, there comes the cat. I need a helper. Anyway, and then that way that'll give me the lace all in one piece without cutting the top of it, and that's what I want. I've removed all of my lace from the little shorts, and some of it is a little tattered in spots, but I'm going to be okay with that because I really kind of like that look. And so these are my 2 long pieces that I'm going to use for the bottom, and I'll put those together. I'm not sure what, there's a couple of more of the same lace pattern, but I'm not going to use those right now. So I'll put these out of the way, and I do know, and then I'm going to put this down the front, and I may put another little piece of lace or something, or piece of fabric. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do there, but to get started, I know that, because I want this to be a jacket, so I'm going to cut this down the middle. I don't want something that I'm going to have to pull over my head, so I'm going to match my side seams and my shoulder seam. Alright, so I've got my shoulder seams matched up, and my side seams, I'm going to match it underneath the arms to make sure I've got that straight. All the way up. Make sure I'm there. And then use my scissors and cut. And I think I'm going to cut the bottom off because I don't want, I think I don't want that hem at the bottom, but I might. I'm going to run my lace off the top just a little ways but I'm going to sew that down. After I get the rest of this sewed down, I'll come back and stitch that. And I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch, and this is just the raw edge. If it folds over, I'm okay with that. If you didn't want to do it this way, you could turn this under like that, and just so that the lace is on the edge like that, so you have this like nice little smooth edge, but I don't want a nice smooth edge. And I'm going to just use a straight stitch. You could use a little zigzag if you wanted to. And I will speed through this. I've just got this on a straight stitch, probably about number 3 on my machine. Now there's a little bit of fullness right here. I could make a little pleat, but I think I'm just going to pull this, since it's sweater fabric, pull that just a little bit and ease that in. And then make sure it's straight as I come, flat as I come back down. I don't want to do this with pull. I don't want to pull this. I'll repeat this on the other side. I'm going to cut that little bit of lace off. Right here will come on this side so you can see. I'll press that in, see if that lays flat, and if it doesn't, I'll come back and put a pleat in there. But I'm going to do the other side now. So working on the other side, I'm going to start from the bottom instead of from the neckline, and stitch in about that same width away. Okay, this may be just a little bit tedious, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to match these little pieces of lace together right here, and then I'm going to zigzag across this main thread. I'm going to do 2 of them, and then I'll cut. So match up my top. And I've set it to zigzag. Let me shorten my stitch some, and then do a back stitch here. This will be at the center back, so I'm going to just kind of adjust this so that those heavier threads are on top of each other. I could use my serger. Okay, so that caught that one. And I'm going to do the one right next to it. Move my hand out of the way. So I've got these threads lined up, top and bottom threads lined up, and I've got this set on like a number 2 width. And I'm going to cut from this way so that I know where I'm at and get my threads out of the way. This is the one that's stitched, so I'm going to cut down right, and I can see my stitch line right there. So I'm going to cut right beside it. I've got 2 stitch lines. Yes, I'm not cutting into my stitch line. I don't think I'm cutting into it. Let's make sure. Okay, that's good. I have my center back seam, and I folded the shirt in half so that I could find the center back, and I put a pin in there, and then I pinned it at the side seam and then at the front. And I haven't decided how I'm going to do the front treatment just exactly yet, the finishing edge, but I'm going from the wrong side because I want a little bit of raggedy on the front, and I want the shirt hanging on the front. So I'm going to go just right in here, do me a little back stitch, get this where I can get a hold of it here. And I want to do like the width of this second mesh. So it's going to be about a presser foot width or 1/4 of an inch, something like that. I think I need another little pin in there. And I've got a lighter thread on the front. I may decide I don't like that, or I may go back and put 2 rows of that in. So I'm going to put it back to straight stitch, and here we go. Alright, I am going to do, this is how it looks on this side. I'm going to do another row of stitching, but I don't want it to be like real neat. I want it to be kind of messy looking a little bit. So we'll see if I can pull that off. And that's how I want that to look. Just like that. Just random, so it's not perfect. So, if you're not a perfect stitcher, sewer, then this ought to work out really well for you. And I might need to put a 3rd row just so that it might have that extra other look. I don't know. I decided what I was going to do with the lace at the front. I am going to fold it under, and I'm going to do just a little tiny zigzag, and I've already set my stitch to do that. And I've already done the other side. Let me show you. And here it is, but I haven't trimmed it off yet. So here, let me go ahead and trim it for you. But I zigzagged it right on this. I just folded it and then zigzagged it with a little tiny, not a short tiny, but a narrow. Like, it's a little bit shorter than the 3. Maybe, yeah, it's about a 1.5 or 2 on my stitch length. And then just trim that excess off. And that's what it looks like on the front side. I'm going to do that on the other side too. So I'm just going to turn it under. And now this one I'm going to do from the back side. The other one, because of the way that it fits underneath the throat plate and everything, or into this little area. I did it from the top side, but this one I'm going to do from the back side. Catch it there. And I decided to do a 3rd row of stitching, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But you don't need to watch it. Okay, you may remember whenever I did the my little embellished blue jeans, and I had this really cool piece of fabric that my friend Jackie had. It's an old curtain. And so I want, oops, hanky there. And I thought, I want to put some pockets on here. But I didn't want it to be like lacy stuff. So and this was already had a hem in it. So I just cut this like it's 7 inches. I think it's 7 inches wide. Let me see. Yeah, 7 inches wide and 7.5 inches long. I turned under a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to turn a 1/2 inch on the sides. And again, you could serge that or zigzag that to finish that off. But I'm not going to. And I figure this will last a season or a season and a half maybe, and I'm almost at the end of the season now as it is. But who knows? And so I'm just going to pin that down. I could take it to the iron and press it, but just going to pin it in, and I'll do both of them. And I'm kind of lining it up with this straight edge here, not worrying about the side seam so much. or the dip of this edge of this pocket. No, the dip of this edge of the front. So this pocket looked a little bit plain compared to this pocket, and so I decided to use some of my calendar towel and maybe a little piece of rickrack or something like that. I'm not sure about the rickrack yet, but I'm going to take this, again, I'm going to go back to the sewing machine. I don't know whether I'm going to do it on there straight or maybe just a little sideways. I think I like the sideways a little bit better. Not for sure about that, but it's a start. I've thought and thought about what else I want to do around the neck, and I put some like a vintage fringe. I didn't like that. It looked kind of 80-ish. And then I thought about putting maybe some cheetah fabric around there. I didn't like that either. So I think what I'm going to do is just do some messy stitching just in the white, like I did around the hem, like where I attached the lace right here. So I'm just going to do about 3 rows, 2 or 3 rows of that, and I'm not going to turn under the edge. So I'm just going to go. Make sure I'm not on zigzag. I was on zigzag. Here we go. Okay, I think I like that. I think that's going to look pretty sweet. And so for the cuffs, I've thought and thought. So I'm going to start with one process. Let me scoot this out of the way, and then I may go to something else. But I've seen Stitches by Julia do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about halfway this cuff. And then this one, the top layer, I'm going to cut it about in half. I'm not going to stay exactly with that. If I don't like this, I can cut the whole thing off and do some messy stitches around it. All right. So I'm going to just clip in, move my hand out of the way. Make sure I'm in the frame. Yeah, you can see. So just a little bit more information about the cuff. I cut off about 1 inch of where it was folded, and so let's see, where's this other one? This one's just kind of plain, and so this one I've stretched it and run my thumbnail across it to kind of ravel that out just a little bit and stretch it out just a little bit so that it's not quite look so new trimmed looking. And So you may want to try that too. And you can do that on your t-shirt necks also. Just cut it along the fold and then cut one of them a little bit lower and then just, oh, I like that. Just a couple of little thread pulls in there. This is easier, laying it against a flat surface rather than against your finger or thumb. And then just do some little pulls on there. And so to do this one, I'm going to fold that back under. I decided that I wasn't real crazy about, even though I wanted this dark edge, this little area right here. So I put a vintage little mother of pearl button on there. And what I did, let me pick it up here, is I made I used crochet thread and just made a knot on the top of it because I want that a little, again, a little bit raggy. So let me show you what I did. I started, and I've just got, it's not knotted or anything like that. Run it through the front, start going through the front instead of from the back, so then I'll have that thread coming off to the front side. And leave it long enough on the front side so I can tie it up. So there we go. Oops, I almost pulled it through. Don't do that. Get on there. All right, let's do about 3 stitches through. And then coming back up through, make sure I catch the fabric so that it's not just in the little lace that's on the trim. All right, now cut me off some tails here. Tie it. I'm gonna tie it in a square knot 3 times. All right, and then clip off these little ends. There we go. I am pretty happy with the way that this turned out. I am going to list this in my Etsy store. I was going to keep this, but I decided I wanted one that was just a little bit larger, so I went today. They had them on clearance for $7, so I went today and got me one that is a large. And so I will do this again, but this one is going to be listed in my Etsy store. If you have stayed with me this length of time, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. If you'll go ahead and hit that like button, and maybe share me with a friend or two. I would just love that. I will see you again next time. Bye.